Hey guys, this is Eliza and welcome back to a new video. I apologize about the lighting. I've got a hat on because I couldn't be bothered washing my hair. Well, it's not that I couldn't be bothered, I don't have time and I need to get these videos filmed. So we're just rolling with it. So today we're doing a wrap up for the first part of June. I will be doing two separate wrap ups for June. One for the second half because that is the Fantasy Journey-a-thon between tomorrow, which is the 21st, all the way to the 30th of June. So I'll have a separate wrap up for that one at the end of the month, but I just wanted to wrap up what I've read so far. So all these books I've read between the 1st and the 20th of June. So I have read 18 books so far this month, 9 of which are graphic novels, 2 of which were audiobooks. The rest of them were all physical reads. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it and I'll just go in order so that way I don't forget anything. So the first book I read was One Word Kill by Mark Lawrence. This is the first book in the Impossible Times, I think it's called, series. And I got this one as an e-arc from NetGalley and I really enjoyed it. It was very short. It was only around 200 pages and it was just really good. I haven't reviewed it yet. I really need to get to that because it was one from NetGalley, so I do need to review it. But this is like a sci-fi time travel type situation, very much Back to the Future vibes. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The world was really interesting. The characters were really cool. The plot was very like action packed. It was only 200 pages as I said, so they had to fit a lot of that in 200 pages. So it felt very action packed for most of it. I really enjoyed One Word Kill and that was the first book I read this month. So the next book I read was the audiobook for Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. This is a standalone fantasy and this was a reread for me. I read Daughter of the Burning City when it came out. I had an e-arc of it when it originally came out and it was so damn good and it's still so damn good. I really enjoyed it the second time around as well. And I did listen to the audiobook, which I do highly recommend. The narration was really good. This book contains my two favorite genres, which is fantasy and mystery. It's like this dark, creepy fantasy in this like traveling circus with a mystery, and I just really enjoyed it. It's a really good book and yeah, I highly recommend the audiobook. So the next book I read was The Bone Charmer by Brianna Shields. This was another e-arc I had and another book I really enjoyed. I think I rated this one a 4 or 4.5, I think. I can't 100% remember. But this book basically follows two possible futures after a certain point and I really enjoyed it. There was like mystery, there was fantasy elements. Obviously we have this multiple point of view in two different time frames, like two different parallels kind of, and it was just really good. The characters were really good and I loved learning about both sides, and both sides had character development, but they were different because after that point different things happened to the same characters. So you kind of saw the one character developed two different ways because of what they went through in each side. It was really interesting and I really enjoyed it. I will leave a link for my review for that one down below, and yeah, highly recommend The Bone Charmer. I'm just waiting for my copy to come because even though I got this from an e-arc and I've already read it, I had to get a copy because I really enjoyed this book and the cover is stunning. Honestly, I had a freaking good month for reads. Most of these books are like, actually I'm pretty sure all of these books are high ratings. So we're doing pretty good this month. So next I read Contagion by Erin Bowman. I literally read this in one day and I have not done that for ages, especially not part of like a readathon or anything. I have not read a book in one day, especially a book this size. This is like 400 pages. I have not read a book this big in one day in ages and I really enjoyed it. This is like a horror sci-fi and oh my god, it is so good. It will literally have you jumping at every noise you hear in your house when you're reading it. It is creepy. The characters are amazing. The world is so well developed. Oh, this book was just so good and I highly recommend it and I cannot wait for the next book to come out, Immunity, which comes out in early July. I think it comes out on my birthday actually. I think it comes out on the 2nd of July. But yeah, I can't wait for book 2. As soon as it comes out, I've pre-ordered it, but literally as soon as I get it, I'm reading it because if it's even 3/4 of as good as this one, it is going to be amazing. So the next book I read, which is actually the graphic novel that I read, and that is Giant Days. And so far this month I read from volume 2, like the start of volume 2, to the end of volume 10. I'm pretty sure, based on the issues, because I am reading them on Scribd, but Scribd only has up to volume 6 and then you've got to swap to individual issues. So I'm trying to keep up with Goodreads, so I think I'm at the end of volume 10. Yeah, either way, I've read a fair bit of Giant Days and I am enjoying it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite graphic novel. I am rating it 4 stars, like all of them have been 4 stars. I do enjoy it. The characters are really interesting and it's really fun and quirky and I like enjoy myself reading it, but it's not quite at a 5-star level, so that's why I've given them 4. But yeah, I read 9-ish volumes of Giant Days. So the next book I read was Enchantée by Gita Trellis. I still don't know how to pronounce that name. This one I rated, I think, 4 stars as well. I haven't written my review for this one yet either. And I did enjoy it, but my main downfall was it did feel very slow for a majority of the book. Up until like 80%, there was only like a couple points that it was a little bit more fast paced, like something specific was going on. But the rest of it, it felt very slow and it did take me a fair while to read this. I think it took me about a week to get through this. I did enjoy it. I like the world. I like the characters. I even like the romance, which is very rare for me. But yeah, it was just slow and it took a while and it was just kind of like, come on, let's get going. But yeah, everything else was really good. It was just like the pacing slash plot was a little bit slow at times. But I do recommend it, and I probably recommend, I haven't listened to the audiobook, but I'd probably recommend trying the audiobook if you're not someone who likes like slower books, because that way at least it wouldn't feel as slow, I think. The next book I read was Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. This was another reread and this was another audiobook. So I listened to 2 Amanda Foody audiobooks this month. So I wanted to read Ace of Shades in preparation for King of Fools, which has just recently come out and I will be reading starting like tomorrow for the Fantasy Journey-a-thon. So I wanted a little bit of a refresher before jumping into King of Fools, as it has been like a year since I read Ace of Shades because I read it when it first came out. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one and I do again highly recommend the audiobook. I love Amanda Foody's writing. Her world building is amazing. Her characters are awesome. I just really enjoy like everything about these books and I'm hoping King of Fools will be just the same. But yes, I had to reread Ace of Shades and I did love this book and I loved it the first time I read it. I have 2 editions of it. I just reread this one leading up to King of Fools. It's still a 5 stars. I still really enjoy it. The next book I kind of actually read throughout the month, but I finished it the next, and that is Kindred 12 Queer Love Oz YA. Oh my god, I can never say that. Kindred 12 Queer Love Oz YA stories, and this is by a heap of different authors. There's Jackie Brown, Claire G. Coleman, Michael Earp or something, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, Alison Evans, Erin Gogue, Benjamin Law, Omar Sakar, Kristoff, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last name, Ellen Van Nerven, Marley Jane Ward, Jen Wild, and Nevo Zezin or something. I'm sorry if I butchered any of those names. Literally the only one of these people I've heard of is Jen Wild. So this is an anthology of 12 queer Love Oz YA stories and I really enjoyed the reading of this. I didn't enjoy every story. Some of them I rated 1 star, some of them I rated 5. There is one I DNF'd. So, but that's kind of the thing with anthologies, like you go into an anthology not expecting to love every one of the stories. There's literally no way that you could, and if you do, I don't know how. So I enjoyed a few of them, I disliked some, but yeah, I had an overall good experience reading this book, except for that one I DNF'd. But I will leave the link to my full spoiler-free review down below that breaks down each story and gives each story a rating and everything. But yeah, I recommend picking it up, and especially if you're Aussie, because a lot of this is set in Australia or fantasy or sci-fi versions of Australia, so that was pretty cool because finding Australian based books is pretty hard, so this was nice. And the last book I read, which I literally finished a couple hours ago, is Aurora Rising by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. I absolutely love this book. I was in tears at the end of it. It was just so amazing. I loved The Illuminae Files by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff, but I was a little hesitant going into this one because I do enjoy Amie Kaufman's writing alone so far from what I've read of her singular books. However, what I've read of J. Kristoff's singular books so far, I don't actually enjoy. So I was a little bit iffy going into this because it's a little bit different than going into Illuminae, because Illuminae is not in novel form. So you're not as much judging the person's writing as it is like scripts and stuff. I don't know, it's just, if you've read Illuminae you know what I mean. It's not the same as reading a novel. So I was a little bit iffy to read a novel version by these 2 authors, but It was perfection. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. The characters were amazing. The world is so freaking interesting and so intricate and so detailed. And I am so curious about all these alien races. Like, can we please have info? I'm confused. Like, I want more. Like, in the next book, can we have these little like info thingies that we have in this one, but like for the alien races, so we can understand them a little bit better. We get to meet 2 of the alien races in this book, but a lot of the other ones are just mentioned, and I am super curious. I love books with like aliens and stuff, but yeah, this book is just so good. It is literally plot point after plot point after twist after shocking shit, like the entire time. It is action packed literally the whole way through. I read this so freaking quickly, it was ridiculous, and I loved it. And also the sarcasm and the humor and the banter between the characters, it's just so damn good. And yeah, highly recommend picking this one up. And this was also the book of the month for the YA book nerds for June, and we will be discussing it on the 30th of June at 8 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join the discussion, that is both on Twitter and Facebook. I will leave both the links down below. We've just recently started a Twitter account, and we just hit 50 followers, which is exciting. So yeah, if you want to join the discussion on Twitter or Facebook, I will leave the link down below. So yeah, that was all the books that I've read so far for June. I'm hoping my reading continues just as good for the Fantasy Journey-a-thon, because literally there is not a book here besides Kindred, because I don't really know what to rate it because the ratings were kind of all over the place for the actual stories. But other than that, I don't think there's a single book that is below a 4 stars. So that is really exciting. It very rarely does that happen. So I'm hoping that continues for the Fantasy Journey-a-thon, because if it does, it will be a good readathon. So yeah, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.